Research indicates that feeling isolated for those over 60 carries a health risk equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Most adults over 60 ignore this warning sign until it is too late, dismissing it as a natural part of aging. But what if the ache in your chest or the persistent fatigue you feel isn't just about getting older? Loneliness is not merely a social inconvenience, it is a biological state that triggers a cascade of physical responses. When you feel disconnected, your body perceives a threat, shifting your nervous system into a chronic state of fight or flight. This documentary will guide you through the hidden mechanics of social isolation and provide a scientifically backed roadmap to reclaiming your vitality. We will explore why your brain reacts to isolation in the same way it reacts to physical hunger or injury, and how you can rewire these pathways starting today. Understanding this is the first step towards safeguarding your cardiovascular health and cognitive longevity. Stay with us as we uncover the surprising connections between your social circle and your cellular health. To understand the magnitude of this issue, we must look at how the human body processes human connection. Our ancestors survived because they belonged to a tribe. Being alone meant death. So the brain developed a social pawn mechanism. When you feel lonely, your brain's anterior cingulate cortex, the same area that processes physical pain, lights up. This is not a metaphor. It is a clinical fact. For a person over 60, this internal distress signal isn't just a mood. It's a physiological stressor. When this signal stays active, your body increases the production of cortisol, the primary stress hormone. High cortisol levels over months or years lead to chronic inflammation, which is the root cause of almost every major health condition in later life. Many people believe that loneliness is inevitable after retirement or the loss of a spouse, but science tells us otherwise. It is a biological hunger that, if left unaddressed, changes your gene expression and suppresses your immune system. Understanding this, you might wonder, is there a point where this damage becomes irreversible? The answer is empowering. Your brain remains plastic, capable of forming new connections and recalibrating your stress responses at any age. Identifying the signs of clinical loneliness can be tricky because it often disguises itself as other symptoms. Are you experiencing unexplained sleep disturbances? Do you find that minor tasks feel significantly more exhausting than they did a year ago? These are often the first manifestations of social disconnection. We often attribute these feelings to just getting older. Yet this is a dangerous misconception. Sleep disruption is a classic sign that your nervous system is in a state of high alert due to perceived isolation. When the body doesn't feel safe, and it doesn't feel safe without social ties, it stays in a hypervigilant state, preventing the deep, restorative sleep necessary for cognitive health. Another marker is an increased sensitivity to everyday stressors. If you notice that you are more prone to irritation or worry over small matters, your biological, early warning system is likely overwhelmed. We will analyze why this happens in the next section, specifically looking at how your heart rate variability reflects your social environment. You might be surprised to learn that your heart literally beats differently when you are surrounded by people you trust versus when you are solitary. Not everyone is equally susceptible to the health impacts of isolation. While anyone can experience loneliness, specific demographic groups over 60 are at higher risk. Research shows that men, who often rely on their spouses as their primary social link, are particularly vulnerable after retirement. Women, conversely, tend to maintain larger social networks, but often face emotional loneliness, even when surrounded by family. The key is not the number of people around you, but the quality of your perceived connection. You could be in a room full of people and still feel isolated. This concept, known as subjective loneliness, is what drives the negative health outcomes. We must also consider the role of mobility and technology. As physical activity decreases, social opportunities naturally shrink. This creates a cycle where inactivity leads to isolation, and isolation leads to further inactivity. The danger is that this cycle is self-reinforcing. Breaking it requires an intentional shift in how you view your daily routines. We will soon discuss the specific, low-effort lifestyle changes that can interrupt this cycle before it impacts your long-term health. So, how do we bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be? It begins with a strategy called micro-socializing. Many seniors believe they need to join large clubs or commit to exhausting social events to combat loneliness. This is often an overwhelming and ineffective approach. Science suggests that smaller, intentional interactions have a more profound impact on your nervous system. A 5-minute conversation with a neighbor, or a recurring phone call with a friend, carries more social calories than an hour spent in a crowd of strangers. Think of these as small doses of social medicine. By focusing on consistency rather than intensity, you signal to your brain that you are safe and supported. This lowers cortisol levels and begins the process of systemic inflammation reduction. But there is a catch. Quality matters. Your brain is highly sensitive to the authenticity of your interactions. Shallow interactions don't provide the same safety signal. We will explain how to evaluate your current habits and identify which ones are truly nourishing you and which are simply social noise. Nutrition plays a more significant role in your mental and social state than you might imagine. Did you know that your gut health is directly linked to your social anxiety and loneliness levels? The gut-brain axis is a constant communication highway. When we feel isolated, our dietary choices often suffer. We eat for comfort or convenience, which leads to spikes in blood sugar and subsequent inflammation. This inflammation exacerbates the feeling of loneliness, creating a vicious loop. To combat this, shifting toward an anti-inflammatory diet, rich in omega-3 fatty acids, leafy greens, and antioxidants, can stabilize your mood and improve your cognitive resilience. These foods provide the chemical building blocks your brain needs to repair the damage caused by chronic stress. It is not just about what you eat, but how you eat. Eating with others, even once a week, has been shown to improve mental health outcomes more than any single nutrient. This simple adjustment is one of the most powerful tools in your toolkit for maintaining a vibrant social life. Physical movement is your second line of defense. We aren't talking about intense gym sessions, but rather, functional movement that keeps you connected to your environment. Gentle exercise like walking, tai chi, or even consistent stretching improves your proprioception, your body's ability to sense its position in space. This directly correlates to confidence and social comfort. When you feel physically capable, you are more likely to engage with the world. Moreover, exercise releases endorphins and oxytocin, which are the biological antagonists to cortisol. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, is released not just through touch, but through synchronized movement and simple shared activities. By integrating a 20-minute daily walk, you are not just exercising your muscles. You're priming your brain to be more receptive to social cues and reducing the perceived threat of the outside world. In our next section, we will look at a common mistake that actually prevents people from forming new bonds. There is a pervasive error that traps many people in a cycle of isolation. The wait and see mentality. Many wait for their children, neighbors, or friends to reach out to them first. They believe that if they aren't being contacted, they aren't valued. This is a cognitive trap. Because everyone is distracted, a lack of outreach is rarely a sign of lack of care. When you wait, you surrender your agency. The most effective way to break the pattern is to become the architect of your own connections. This requires shifting from a passive role to an active one. It doesn't mean being demanding. It means being an initiator. Simply sending a text, asking a question, or offering a small piece of advice can spark a connection that you otherwise would have missed. This shift in perspective is critical. It moves you from a state of being left behind to a state of reaching out. We will explore the psychology of why initiating contact is actually easier than you think, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. When should you seek professional help? While self-management techniques are powerful, sometimes the body requires extra support. If your loneliness is accompanied by persistent sadness, loss of interest in hobbies you used to love, or changes in appetite that led to rapid weight loss, it may be time to consult a doctor. These can be indicators of clinical depression or other underlying medical conditions that mask themselves as social isolation. Do not wait for things to get better on their own. A medical professional can assess whether your symptoms require medication, talk therapy, or simply a change in lifestyle strategy. Remember, reaching out for support is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of high-level health management. It shows that you value your life and your future enough to seek the right tools. In the next part, we will discuss how to talk to your doctor to ensure you get the best possible guidance, because navigating the healthcare system can sometimes feel like a solitary journey in itself. Let's talk about the technology paradox. We live in an age where we can connect with anyone, anywhere, yet loneliness rates among those over 60 are at an all-time high. Why? Because not all connections are created equal. Video calls are better than text, and in-person interaction is better than video. Technology should be used as a bridge, not a destination. Many people use social media to watch the lives of others, which often leads to a phenomenon called social comparison. Comparing your quiet reality to someone else's highlight reel on a screen is a recipe for deepened feelings of isolation. Instead, Use digital tools to set up physical meetings. Use technology to find local walking groups, book clubs, or community centers. The goal is to get out of the digital space and into the physical one. We will next look at how to structure your week to maximize these physical interactions without burning yourself out. Building a sustainable social routine is the key to long-term success. Think of your social life like a muscle that needs regular, moderate training. You don't need a massive marathon of socializing. You need a consistent habit. Create a social schedule that includes at least 3 meaningful interactions per week. This could be a coffee date, a phone call with a family member where you discuss something deep, or a visit to a local park where you interact with others. By scheduling these, you turn them into a priority rather than a nice to have. Consistency is the enemy of the isolation cycle. When you have a routine, your brain anticipates the interaction, and that anticipation itself reduces the stress response. You begin to feel more secure and more connected, even in the hours when you are alone. This is how you cultivate a sense of belonging that protects your heart and your mind for years to come. We have covered a lot of ground today, from the biology of why loneliness harms your body to the practical steps you can take to reclaim your connection to the world. Remember, your social health is just as important as your blood pressure or your cholesterol levels. It is a vital sign of your overall well-being. Start small. Perhaps today, you make that one phone call you've been putting off. Tomorrow, take a walk in a place where others are present. The path out of loneliness is not a sudden leap. It is a series of small, intentional steps. By choosing to prioritize your connections, you are making a conscious decision to extend your health span and improve your quality of life. Thank you for choosing to learn and grow with us today. Your commitment to your health is the first step toward a more connected, vibrant future. Keep moving, stay curious, and remember that you are an essential part of the tapestry of your community.